On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, a summer naturist vacation in Quebec.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bear Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bearoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode number 44. And I have to start with an apology because I did not get this show out in June as I would have. For the first time in a couple of years, I did miss a month. I always try to get one per month. And unfortunately, it's been a tremendous summer so far in southern Ontario, near Toronto, and at Bear Oaks. We have been overwhelmed, literally, with visitors. New people visiting for the first time. We've had incredible weather. It started in March, and we've had hot, sticky summer weather, perfect naked weather, since May, almost nonstop. And so it has been incredibly busy. When you combine that, actually, with the incredibly busy long weekend, the July 1st long weekend. July 1st is Canada Day in Canada. Just like July 4th in the United States or July 14th in France. And we had, during that long weekend, our busiest and most successful volleyball tournament ever, the most teams. I'm sure the weather had a lot to do with it. And the fact that this was our sixth tournament meant that there were a lot of people. The park was truly overrun and overwhelmed. We're having problems with lack of parking. We're having problems with running out of water. These are not good things, but I guess if you're going to have a problems, those kinds of problems because of capacity are wonderful. On top of that, with the record heat wave that we had, a member came by my trailer one day when I was working and suggested that I should do a press release just saying how taking your clothes off was a great way to deal with the heat. And I thought about it, and I spent about 15 minutes writing up an email that talked about thermal regulation and was titled something like Nudity, the Natural Way to Keep Your Cool. And I sent it out to my list. Sometimes when I send out to my media list, it gets virtually ignored. But this time, it really got a lot of pickup. Several radio stations played it almost immediately that day. And then afterwards, we were on a very popular morning TV show. They actually not only talked about it for a minute and a half, they actually downloaded video from our YouTube channel and played it on television. Then we were visited by a newspaper reporter and a photographer, and the biggest circulation newspaper in Canada, the Toronto Star. And they did a very good article with photos, and it was picked up by a free distribution newspaper called Metro, which is distributed in all the subways and trains that commuters use in Toronto. All told, just the newspaper coverage reached over 1.7 million readers. Not bad for 15 minutes of work. And the result was pretty amazing as well, because we had one Saturday where we had 17 first visits. And they were all couples or families, so that's at least 34 people that came for their first visits. And we regularly all summer have easily 10 people on a Saturday or a Sunday coming for a first visit. So all of that to say that I apologize that I couldn't get it out, but I couldn't get it out for the end of June because of the volleyball tournament, and then all that media attention kept me busy for the beginning of July. But we're here finally, so we're going to have some interesting topics to discuss today, actually a fairly long show with a lot of topics. The first thing I want to share with you was an analogy that I used in a discussion the other day. Because I keep talking about naturism not being about taking clothes off. It's a lot more than that. It's not actually about nudity. It's about the respect for self and respecting others and getting closer to nature at the same time, being more natural, in a more natural state, which should be normal, but is not the norm. So I guess it's not normal, but it is a more natural state. And the nudity is simply a tool to reach that state of being. It's a tool that is relatively shocking because it's so deeply ingrained in our psyche. And so I was explaining this to somebody as it's like with your computer. You know, every now and then your computer starts acting funny and it's all screwed up, so you have to reboot it. And taking your clothes off is such a drastic thing to do for most people who are not used to it. Being nude with others is so jarring that it is essentially like a hard reset for your psyche, for your mind. It forces you to address other things, deeply held things, deep issues you might have. And it allows you to sort of reset and restart yourself. And we have to keep kind of doing it because just like a computer, just a reset doesn't always solve the problems. You do have to work on whatever the conflicts are in the system, as they are in your emotions and in your mind and in your psyche. But that reboot that you do every time you are nude with others, that reset that allows you to relax and be yourself with others and see others as yourself, that is the hard, jarring reset that you need to get you going, to get you started again. And we need to do it all the time, unfortunately, because most of the time we live in a world that screws us up and messes us up. So we need that regular hard reset by going to a naturist club or a nude beach or somewhere where we can practice naturism with others and really get that therapy that we need to help us cope with the messing that the world does on us. I get a lot of emails, of course, and I appreciate reading every one of them, and I do try to respond to every one of them. And by the way, if you don't get a response, and maybe that I didn't get it or that I somehow missed it, I just noticed I missed several emails going back to March for some reason when I was looking back through my email list and of what I've replied to and didn't reply to. So I apologize to those that I did not reply to right away. I think I've reached everyone now. But I got an email from Philip, and we had a show a few episodes back about young adults and teenagers and how certainly at Bare Oaks we have no problems attracting them, and in some ways that many of them are finding a deeply held philosophy more interesting and more appealing than a casual clothing optional environment. What I got here was an email from Philip, and I'll just read it to you. He says, "Greetings. Something has been on my mind concerning teenage naturists based on my own experiences and a few videos online. I have been to clothing optional clubs where teenagers were never nude, even to the point of avoiding a swimming pool. When it comes to not clothing optional clubs, I do agree with you on the notion that if they didn't want to eat Italian food, I wouldn't go to Italian restaurants. However, what about teenagers who live with their parents at naturist clubs and resorts and do not wish to be nude for whatever reason? They don't exactly have a choice in living there and would probably move away when they are old enough. But how do non-clothing optional clubs deal with this situation when the teenager in question does not have a choice to be there? Isn't it just as bad to force them to be nude against their will as it's bad to force them to be clothed? Thank you for your time." So I responded to Philip, and he certainly does make a good point, but I thought I would share with you my response because I think that it's a good point he makes, but I still think that you have to be consistent with your rules, and you have to have a place that stands for something. So when you deal with teenagers in a situation like he describes, there's only two possible options. They come to the club because they have to, because they're with their parents, and they have to respect the park rules. So because they have to respect the park rules, they either, in the case of Bare Oaks, they're allowed to stay on their site and keep their clothes on and don't use any of the facilities, which must be very boring, or they take their clothes off because they're forced to, and they either learn to enjoy it and appreciate it, or they get out of it completely as soon as they can. Of course, I said before, I hate to use the word force because it implies that we are, almost like there's somebody with a whip forcing people to take their clothes off. It's not like that. We make our children do all kinds of things because they're important values to us. I make my children brush their teeth. I make my children eat healthy foods. I make my children go to school. I make them do their homework. I make them do all kinds of things they don't want to do, but it's for their own good. And if we really do believe that naturism is good for your physical health and your mental well-being, then it makes sense that we force them, if you're going to use that word, even as teenagers, because it's the right thing to do, just as I do brushing their teeth or following a particular religion or being a vegetarian if I believe that that was important to their health. So they either enjoy it or they get out of it completely. So it certainly is possible that they will resent it. And it doesn't matter what it is. At some point your teenagers will rebel and they will do the opposite of what you want. And that may go against naturism and we may lose some. But let's say that we decide, as many clubs do, to allow them to keep their clothes on. Now, first of all, being dressed disrupts the environment for others. And I've discussed why clothing optional doesn't work very well and why a true naturist philosophy does not tolerate that. And I'll put a link to that because I don't want to go through that again because there's a whole show you can listen to about that discussion. But let's say that they do keep their clothes on because they're allowed to, and let's forget the fact that they disrupt the environment. They probably feel odd being the only dressed people. There's a chance that they'll eventually adapt and enjoy it, but there's also a chance that they become confirmed textile because they're allowed to do it. They never are forced to keep going with it. So as soon as they've got a chance, they probably leave anyway because they feel odd in the company of all these people who always have their clothes off. They probably feel some pressure to take their clothes off. And the problem with the second option where you allow them is it also causes other damage. It's unfair to other families who are trying to raise their teenagers as naturists. And let me explain what I mean by that. When I first took over Bear Oaks, the first year we had the volleyball tournament that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I was still trying to figure out what to do with things. And the volleyball tournaments bring in a lot of people from other parks and other places and all over North America where there's different policies. And so when we first started, there was a couple of families that came with teenagers. Two of them had teenagers. And these teenagers were very comfortable taking their clothes off. They were there early because their parents were helping with the setup of the volleyball tournament. It was our first one. There was a lot of work to be done. But the teenagers were nude all the time. There was no issues. There was no problem. But as the tournament began, another family showed up that also had a teenager. I agreed because they requested to let the teenager wear her clothes. Within a few hours, the other two teenagers, one of which was also a girl, were dressed as well. The peer pressure imposed by the first teenager with the clothes completely overwhelmed the other two. So, yeah, teenagers are a bit awkward about their bodies and nudity, and that can certainly make it awkward. But sometimes the rules give them the confidence to overcome those fears and the awkwardness and allow them to continue to develop as naturists in a naturist world. So no matter what the option, we might lose some. That's just the way it is with teenagers. They're going to do the opposite of what their parents want. I can tell you that the other thing that happens is we have young adults and teenagers who come because they want to rebel against their parents. So it goes both ways. But I don't think there is one solution, and I think the harm that comes by allowing them to be clothing optional hurts the club and doesn't necessarily help them any more than having a rule that they too must comply with regulations. And besides, I've noticed that most clubs where teenagers are allowed to wear clothes, the rule is still that you have to be nude in the pool. And those same teenagers don't seem to have any problems taking their clothes off in the pool and swimming together with other teenagers. So obviously it's not that traumatizing. I think the bashfulness is the something that they feel they must show in front of others if they're allowed to. So in a way, having the rules make it easier. But I'm not going to say that all teenagers will agree to that. We have lost some, and that will always continue. But as a parent, I think it's important that we teach them to respect the community standards, to respect others, to respect their bodies, and only by practicing naturism can you really do that. Obviously, I love Bare Oaks, and I love the way it's developing, and I am imparting my philosophy and my view of how naturism should be on Bare Oaks, and I think that's one of the reasons it's working well. But I can't often take a vacation there. So I've talked before about places I've gone to. We go as a family on vacation because it's much easier to relax when it's not your workplace. And Bare Oaks can still be a very relaxing place for me, but I can't take a vacation all the time because it's very difficult to completely get away from the fact that I am the owner, I am the manager, and I care about everything that happens there, and I worry about everything that happens at the park. So I've gone to Cypress Cove, and we did a whole show about visiting Cypress Cove. But last summer, we went to another one of my favorite naturist park called La Pommerie in Quebec. La Pommerie means the apple orchard. And it is an old apple orchard. It's a very large property. It's a beautiful property. And the owners and the members there very much reflect my views about naturism, the ones I talk about in the show all the time. It is probably more natural. It's certainly larger in scale than Bare Oaks, but so as a result, there's more nature, more trees, more open spaces. That does make it a little bit challenging for the owners because there's more grass to cut and more property to maintain. But it does make for a beautiful place to ride your bike and walk around and visit and spend some time. Really be natural in a place where everybody is similarly minded in terms of naturism being a life philosophy. One of the things, though, that makes it really unique, besides being francophone because it's in the province of Quebec, is that it has a vineyard. And it is, as far as I know, the only naturist club that has a vineyard. They make hundreds of bottles of wine every year. They're volunteers who do the work of, they each take a row or a few rows, and they cultivate all summer, all spring, summer, and fall, their row of grapevines. And then they pick, and then they get together and crush the grapes and make the wine. And, of course, they get together as well to taste the wine. And when I was there, I was lucky enough to be invited because normally visitors don't get to participate. The wine is only for those who work on it. But they were kind enough to invite me to participate in one of the wine tastings.
Une finale de caramel.
Mais celui du caramel, c'est le cabernet, non?
C'est le cabernet.
C'est vrai pareil, hein? Parce que là, on l'a senti tout de suite.
Je l'avais pas vu du tout, mais t'en parles.
C'est ça. T'as le mot juste.
And of course, drinking wine is a wonderful social activity to do. And I love having a glass of wine with friends, and I love the variety of wine. I love the fact that I could drink a different bottle of wine every day for the rest of my life, and it would never have to be the same bottle because there is that much variety and that many producers around the world. And I love the fact that each one tries to do something unique and different. And it doesn't have to be expensive. And the wine that they make at La Pommerie is very good as well, and they really appreciate and enjoy their wine. As I guess it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it, that French-speaking people would enjoy wine, but it's true. When you have the Latin background to your culture, you have a bit more appreciation, I think, of the finer things in life, joie de vivre, as they say in French. And so it really adds a wonderful note to La Pommerie, but it's not just the vineyard, it's also all the facilities. They have a great restaurant with great style where people really get together and have communal meals together. Not necessarily as one big table, but they often get together to break bread. They have a wonderful arbor outside where you sit under vines and enjoy a meal. And it's also a tremendously family-oriented park, as you might expect. There's always lots of kids around the pool, swimming. There's lots of families walking around. And of course, everybody is nude because they do believe that you should not be clothing optional. They believe that nudity is a key tool to reach those goals of self-acceptance and acceptance for others and getting closer to nature. So nudity is not optional at Pommerie, which is another reason I like to go there, because I really feel at home as a result. The kids, there's lots of activities for kids, and when we were there, actually, they had Halloween. I think it was in July. Halloween in July, and the kids all get loaded up, dozens of them, on a. I think it's like a hay wagon or something like that, and it gets pulled by a tractor, and they go all around and stop in front of all the trailers and cabins, and they ask for candy. And what you hear them singing, "On veut des bonbons," we want candy, is what they say as they go throughout the park. To the great joy of the children, of course, when they get candy, but also the joy of all the adults who are happy to give them candy as well. One of the first members of La Pommerie was Michel Vaïs. And you will recall Michel Vaïs because I did an episode, number 34 in September of 2011, on naturism in Quebec. And he was the founder of the Fédération québécoise de Naturisme, the Quebec Naturist Federation. He's also the author of a book that's now out and is available through the Bear Boutique called Simplement, which is a wonderful book about naturism. But he was one of the earliest members of La Pommerie, and so I sat down with Michel and asked him to tell me about the history and how it started. So Michel, you were one of the first members of La Pommerie.
Yeah.
Tell me the story of La Pommerie.
Well, I was still in France in the 70s. I was finishing my 4 years in Paris as a student when I met Jean-Marcel Boucher in a naturist center in Corsica. And he was a naturist. He came from Quebec. He was of French origin. He was born in France, and he arrived in Quebec in the 20s and to become a veterinarian. So he studied veterinary medicine here in Quebec, and then eventually he became a vet. But he worked mainly outside of Quebec as a functionary of the Quebec government in Africa, for example. And when I met him in Corsica, he was finishing a mission of several years in Africa. So he was very impressed by naturism when I met him in Corsica. And then I went back to Quebec, he went back to Quebec, and we lost track of each other. And then once I saw an ad about La Pommerie in a newspaper called Naturist du Québec, which was a kind of soft porn magazine coming out every 2 weeks. But they sold 15,000 copies of their magazine. It was like a tabloid. It was a tabloid called Naturist du Québec. And they had some stories about naturism, but they also had ads of people who wanted to, swingers, and they had stories about they were obsessed by the best buttocks, for example. So they had a whole story about the most beautiful buttocks, and the penis, and they spoke about the ladies' sex, should it be shaved or not? They had really important questions like this, and they stole photos for their magazine everywhere they could, in Penthouse, in Playboy, in French naturist magazines, because when I founded the Quebec Naturist Federation, for the first couple of years, I distributed the French naturist magazine here in Quebec, La Vie au Soleil, and the first members of the FQN received a free subscription to La Vie au Soleil. So I had received a whole bunch of those magazines, present and old magazines, which I distributed everywhere. So they took some of them, and they used some of their photos for their magazine, Naturist du Québec, And anyway, but it was the only publication speaking about naturism in Quebec. naturism, nudism. That was in the 75, 76. And Jean-Marcel Boucher, who founded La Pommerie, put an ad in this magazine to announce the future creation of a naturist center of European inspiration that would be called La Pommerie. So I came here, and it wasn't open yet. It was the year before it opened, and I recognized Jean-Marcel, of course, whom I had seen in Corsica 2 years before. And he said, oh, yes, from this time when he was in Corsica, he was really interested in opening a naturist camp. So he eventually found an orchard, and this is where he created his camp in 1976 and opened formally, I think. I don't remember if it was 76 or 77. Anyways, I was there from the beginning, and I bought a trailer, which I installed here, and I'm still there 34 years later. And Jean-Marcel wanted to do, at the beginning, for the first years, he was surrounded with artists. You know, there were painters. I remember there were some sculptors who were there too. He wanted La Pommerie to be a kind of artist's place, you know, where we could be nude, of course. It was naturist, but it was also ecologique from the beginning, you know. It was called Centre Naturiste de Récréation, Centre écologique naturiste de récréation et de camping. So the words ecology, naturism, and so on were all present from the beginning. And so the atmosphere here was very special because it was very different from other naturist camps that opened. For example, it's the only one where there was no, and there still is no, loudspeaker to call for the members. You see, there's absolutely no question having some loud music near the swimming pool or near the lake, except exceptionally, you know, where there is a, like today, in July 2011, we have a beach party. So it happens exceptionally. But the rest of the time, music should be completely silent. I mean, you should not have any loud music. People must use loud earphones. And the car circulation is reduced to the minimum. People go around with their bicycles or walk. And from the beginning, we had un jardin potager. How would you say that in English?
A community garden.
Community garden.
Vegetable garden.
That's right. We still have it now, but remember at the beginning it was much popular than now. I mean, everybody had their own part of this community garden. It was, of course, organic garden, and and now we have a vineyard here, which the new owner, Gilles Beauchamp, started already 15 years ago. I mean, because eventually, after having been here for 20 years, Jean-Marcel sold the property to a group of members. There were 16 at the time, and each had some shares in La Pommerie. And then eventually, one of them, Gilles Beauchamp, bought all the other people's shares, and he's the new owner of La Pommerie. So it's a place where you have larger lots than in other campings, whether it's textile campings or naturist centers, where you have absolutely no... It's forbidden, for example, here to have some of these plastic decorations that you see in so many places, you know, those flamingo and the this type of... the wheel, you know, with the flowers in the middle, and all that kind of decoration is completely forbidden here. I mean, it has to be much more sober and close to nature. For example, no noise is allowed here. You can't use a lawn mower on Sundays. And there's a lot of space. There's a lot of space. There's a huge swimming pool. There's all these wooden areas around the orchard, which are very nice too. They allow us to breathe. You know, it's a very large camping place, And we have some special activities, like, for example, when in the first years of La Pommerie, we had some specialists in the mushrooms who came, some mycologists who came and initiated some of us to picking mushrooms. And I still pick my own mushrooms here. I mean, we're not very many of us still do this, but some of them, some of us.
The first owner was Jean-Marcel?
Jean-Marcel Boucher, yeah.
How did Jean-Marcel Boucher do with the development? Was it successful? Was he making money, or was he just wealthy enough to make it work?
Well, he still worked as a vet until he retired at the age of 65. So, but La Pommerie was his sideline, and I think it worked because he had many visitors, and he kept developing La Pommerie. He opened Le Boisé, which is a new area in La Pommerie that they developed. But they are limited because of the zoning here. It's agriculture zoning, and they tolerate a camping place. But you cannot build cottages, for example, or any other equipments than the ones which existed when the property was acquired. So there's the old farmhouse, which is still there. There is a restaurant, but I mean, you cannot build anymore. You cannot develop anymore. Except now they discovered that you're allowed to have some yurts. A yurt, which is a type of Siberian tent, yes, on a platform, but quite huge. I mean, it's round. You know, it can be 30 meters in diameter. So this is allowed. But you're not allowed to have mobile homes, for example. You call that mobile homes? Mobile house?
Mobile homes, yeah.
Mobile homes. You're not allowed to have this here.
So when now with Gilles Beauchamp, has it changed under his leadership?
Well, Gilles Beauchamp is very dynamic. He's an architect. He likes things to be nice looking, you know. He wants to preserve the ecologic and atmosphere of La Pommerie. He wants it to be nice environmentally. He wants to have flowers and so on. So there are many volunteers who do that, you know. Many people take care of une plate-bande de fleurs. How would you say that? Une plate-bande, which is
a flower garden.
A flower garden. Well, for example, all around the swimming pool, you know, there are flowers. So some members take care of that, you know. Other people, for example, adopt a tree, you know. So it's their tree, so they have to take care of it, you know, the branches and so on. And Gilles Beauchamp is very dynamic for that. But he's still working. I mean, even though he retired, he's still working very hard as an architect, as an engineer, and so on. He's the one who created the vineyard. You know, and we have wine tastings. It's the only naturist club I know, anyways, in America, where you have a vineyard and wine, and real good wine. They're even doing some ice wine, which is tremendous. They can't sell it. They don't have enough to sell it outside, but they use it. I mean, here we have some very special initiatives that some members have taken. For example, some of our members have horses, and you've realized here that there are 2 horses, and they take care of them personally, those members, but they ride them, and they give tours to kids, you know, in La Pommerie. I mean, you can go there anytime, and they will give you a tour, or to your children. And also, one of the members here has offered to organize l'apéro musical, which means a musical apéritif. L'apéro musical from 5 to 7 p.m., about once a month, Saturday. They have this concert, you know, on recorded music. They install some very huge loudspeakers at the beginning of the orchard, you see, close to the swimming pool, and then everybody comes with their chairs, you know, and you're there for a couple of hours, and you can have sparkling wine, you know, for $2, you know, the glass. And so Gilles Beauchamp started all these initiatives, you know, in La Pommerie. Like last year, they decided to have the Olympics here in La Pommerie. So there were many people involved. I mean, most of the members of La Pommerie were involved, and there was competition for adults, for children. There was a lot of animation, and people like this, you know. But it's special. I mean, they're doing some special things in La Pommerie that you don't see elsewhere. But of course, not everybody appreciates this. Some people find La Pommerie too dull. So, well, there are other places for them. But those people who like listening to the birds and, be quiet in nature and finding other people who share those values, well, are happy here.
The current owner of La Pommerie is Gilles Beauchamp, and he's also a good man. We share an interest in architecture. He's an architect himself. He is one of the key people that loves to make wine and drink wine and enjoy life. And he bought La Pommerie from the original owner with a group, and he now owns it exclusively because he bought out all the other partners. I am pretty sure he's not looking to make money. He's trying to make it profitable, but it's clearly not the best investment of his money if he wants to make a huge return on it, because he's investing so much in keeping it and going and making it better and bigger. But he does have some great ideas, and he does want to pass it on to his children and make it successful. So I sat down with Gilles, and he told me a bit more about La Pommerie, where it is and where it's going.
I discovered what it is for me now after maybe 20 years. But the main important thing when you go in a naturist camp, it's an act of humility. You arrive in the site and you say to everybody, here I am. You cannot fake. You show how you are, and the relation between the people change completely, because you don't have any mask to hide yourself. And that's what I prefer in naturism. Maybe the first 15 minutes, it's not easy when you arrive for the first time, but after half an hour, you say, okay, here I am. I'm fat. I have maybe. You're not. Nobody are perfect, especially the women, because all their life they compare themselves with magazine, and of course they are always. It's always worse than in the magazine. But what they realize when they arrive in the nudist camp is, oh, I'm not so bad. And another thing which was very interesting for me, I'm here since 36 years now, and I know some person I knew when they were 8 years old, 10 years old, and now they are 44 years old. So I saw them before they became ado or a teenager. Mm-hmm. I saw them as teenager, and after that they became pregnant, and the body changed, and now they are 45 years old. So it's rare in your life that you have the occasion to see the same person from 8 to, let's say, 50 years old, and realize all the transformation which occur in your body.
You were a member since the very beginning, and obviously a few years younger, but you were just a member, and at one point you became the owner.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that?
In fact, it was a big decision in my life, because when I arrived here, I was 30 years old with a small kid, 2 years old. And I have now 3 children, so they were all raised here, and they lived here, and they enjoyed the place, and I enjoyed the place. And it was a decision to say, okay, if I want to continue with this type of life, I must buy it and manage it. And at the beginning, we were a lot of friends and say, okay, let's buy it, and we will have plenty of fun, and we will continue to live in the nature, in the forest with friends. But it's not very easy to manage a camp like that. We were at the beginning. We were 16, so you can imagine the number of meeting and discussion we had, and not only discussion, but when problem, especially financial problem, occur, some people didn't want to continue. So. I bought one and another one and another one. So after maybe 10 years, I decided to buy the whole thing and to manage it by myself. Is it a good decision or not? It's not really important now. Maybe in 20 years we will have the answer, but I will not be there to see if it was a good decision or not, but because I work hard, but I enjoy it.
So you're obviously investing a lot of money because there's a lot of changes happening every year that we come. Do you think someday it's possible to make money?
Do you want a frank answer?
Yeah, sure.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think it will be. For many reasons. Maybe it's possible to, but not here. Here we have a magnificent site, very large, but it's the quality of the site because it's very, very large, but it's always the problem of the site because it's so large that just to cut the grass. When I bought, we spend 80 man's hour per week just to cut the grass. So I had I bought bigger
lawnmowers.
Right? And for example, it's so large that I cannot use a normal walkie-talkie to control the entrance. Somebody has to be there. Even if it's raining, there's somebody there during the day and somebody there during the evening and during the week and during the weekend. So it's quite not expensive, but even if when it's nice weather, it's no problem. But the problem is during the months of May or during September. So that's the reason I don't think I will make a lot of money with that. But it's not really. I really don't care now. I'm 65 and I have enough money to live. So I don't anxious about that.
So where are you going? What is going to be the next few years for La Pommerie? What do you want to do with this place? Or is it finished?
Oh, no, it's not finished. 2 years ago, I started to build a yurt. Yeah. Have you seen the yurt?
Yes, I have, yeah.
And it's probably a way to enlarge the season because I have some members who are friends too. They want to be there, to be here for maybe 10 months a year. So in a yurt, it's comfortable and it's large, so they can appreciate the place. And during January and February, they go in south, and during maybe they come back in March, April, up to November, December. So they don't need another house than La Pommerie.
Who do you think you want to get new members and you want to get visitors?
Yeah.
Who would like to come here? Who are you marketing towards?
Now I put all my energy to have children. Mm-hmm. Because as I wrote last week, for me, when a baby cries, it's for me music. It's like music because it's life. It's life, and it's important to take care of the children because they will pay our pension when we will be older than now. And also, we must go give, how can I say it, to give back the nature what we received when we were young. So our parents took care of us, and we have to take care of the children. That's the love of the life. That's so. I'm looking, of course, to have more children, but I like to discuss with. I should say not intellectual. That's not the good word, but it's incredible the number of persons here who have experienced a very deep experience in life. And for example, 3 weeks ago we had a conference. It's a member, and she's a doctor in sexology. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she publicized a very big book, and we discussed about the book for hours. We have a lot of professors, and we have all the talents here. It's when you know the people. Of course, people don't say I'm judge or I'm a professor or I'm an electrician, but I know the member, and I realize that we have on the site all the profession we need. Anyway, yesterday I discussed with a guy. He is a doctor in philosophy. His specialty is the
Aristotle.
Aristotle?
Yeah.
So I discussed with him with a glass of wine about Aristotle.
Oh, nice.
It's funny. We were new beside, and we discussed. I don't know what he did, what he studied or things like that. But when I realized that the PhD is on Aristotle, I say, okay, let's go, and appreciate it very much.
So is your marketing towards families, is it working?
Yeah, we decided 5 years ago. I changed completely the way we market the place. Previously, we bought advertising in newspaper, and I realized that la cible, the target was not the good target. So I say, okay, forget the newspaper, and how can I get more children? And we sat with a firm, and we changed completely our way to market the place. Now we spend money only on internet, and we don't spend a penny in the newspaper.
Yeah. What is your goal? How many do you want to be? Twice as many people? 10 times as many people? When would you be happy?
Okay, I should say the breaking point is around 300 members. If I can reach 300 members, I will be happy with that. Okay. Because the quality is there, the quality of the activities. I don't want to. I have room here. It's very large. I can easily build 2,000 sites. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to expend more than 300 or 350. Because at this point, all activities work well, you see. Even if it's raining, the restaurant will have, I should say, 50 suppers. So the problem when we are too small, if you try to make activities, you don't have enough people participate to this activity. So I think that is the breaking point is around 300.
And you have a lot of space for visitors too. Beautiful sites. That's still going to continue?
Oh yeah, of course, because the only way to have members is to have visitors. Because in fact, the most difficult thing for us, I think, is to bring people here. When they are here, they say, "Oh, that's marvelous," and they rent a site. But the problem is to bring them on the site. So anyway, now the number of visitors is directly related to the weather. The member is different. When somebody is a member, he will be there even if it's rain. So it's a way to stabilize our income. Mm-hmm. The member is the stabilization. If it's raining or not, and it's a good summer or not, it does not care, because what they come here to have friends, to have relation, to have activities. They don't come here only for the weather. Because, for example, we have a vineyard here. So we are 30 members who work in the vineyard, and even if it's raining, we enjoy it. It's the same thing. I have 602 apple trees. And we take care of the apple trees. But to take care of the apple trees, we have to do the work during the February or March. So during the winter, all the gang of the apple trees, they come and we work, and we have a big party, and that's it. And same thing with the vineyard, and the same thing with the same thing for the choir. See, during the winter they come, or we have very often during the winter we receive maybe 20 person for the choir, or for a meeting, or for marketing, or for the trees, or for there's a lot of activities, and it's always the occasion to prepare a big meal and have fun. And I should say every winter we organize maybe 10 activities like that. Every year I rent. I don't know if I hire dogs with the sleigh.
Dog sled.
Dog sleigh. Okay, the site is so nice. So I rent maybe 24 dogs and 3 sleighs, and they come here for the whole day, and we travel. Wow. We travel all around the site, and with champagne and all these things. So I received a few years ago as a gift a sword to cut the champagne.
Oh yeah.
So we put all the bottle in the snow, and the sword is there, and then we cut the bottle, and so it's there's also a lake. So we skate on during the winter we skate on the lake. There's a lake, so we skate on the lake, and there's a lot of party.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You know, one of the things that we are in a very interesting time in naturism, where a lot of clubs have been around for many years, and unfortunately many have closed because the owners have retired and they've sold, and so I find with me, a lot of naturists comes to me and they want to know, even though I'm still relatively young, what's the future? Why do I want to be here? Do you have an answer for that? Do you have a plan? I mean, you're still got many years to go, but I'm sure people still wonder what will happen to La Pommerie when you had enough.
In fact, I spent more than half of my life here, and I want that the Pommerie survive or live. So, of course, I have 3 children who who were raised here and who appreciate the place, and La Pommerie is for them. But in order to make sure that they will not convert or change the vocation, in my will, they are not allowed to change the vocation for the first 2 years. So,
okay.
And another thing, when I bought, I decided to have what I call a council of orientation. It's like a council of administration, but I'm the only owner, so it's not a council of administration, but it's a council of orientation. And I select among the members one representative in every area, because the Pommerie is very large and it's like small village. So the council has 6 members, and I said to my children, if I died, just has the council to go on with the place, because they know the philosophy, they know the decision, they know the principle. We discuss so many hours during 15 years about La Pommerie that they know the spirit of the naturist. My spirit of naturism. Of course, we don't have all the same point of view, but they know, and I think, suppose I died tomorrow morning, the council will go on for at least 2 years, so the change will be slow. But no, I think there's a place for naturism, but not from the point of view of nudism. Nudism? Because now there's no interest. You can see a naked woman or man everywhere in every movies. It's very rare that you see a movie without at least one view of somebody, a naked body. So now the interest of naturism, I should say, will survive if we take care more about ecological aspect. The name of La Pommerie, the official name, is Naturism and Ecologicals. And when you arrive, it's the sign say ecological. And when I bought, I paint everything in green. Now you see green everywhere. Everybody are green now. But 15 years ago, it was not the same thing. And 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, even the word ecological was not. Nobody knows what it was, what was the meaning. For example, we start to compost, make compost. Compost, yeah. I should say 20 years ago. Now I pay for the recycle of the. I have to pay. It's not free when you are a business. If you are a resident, it's free. The city pay. But if you are a business, you have to pay. And every year I pay the company who come just to recycle the waste. And of course, it will be much cheaper for me if I just throw everything in the garbage. But no, I think we must right now take care of the ecological aspect of naturism. For example, on the site, we don't allow the cars are not allowed to travel. I should say not travel. To travel on the site. Because on the site you walk or you use a bicycle. That's the way to try, and it's good for our site because it's so large that you have to
to exercise.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
So you've traveled a fair bit. You've seen all types of naturists, maybe nudists.
Yeah.
What kind would like it here?
Here, I should say that we tend to have the reputation to be naturism for the family, for the children, and we put the emphasis on the ecological aspect. It's not a place for the party. Some other camps say, oh, they are a snub, or they are... No, we are not snub. We are what we are, and we enjoy nature. For example, you can visit all the site, and we identify the trees and the birds and all these things. So,
but there are good parties. There was one last night, except the children are welcome too. Right?
Yeah. No, we have a big party, but it's not a place for a swinger here. It's a place for the family, and of course we don't accept any swinger or a thing like that, or voyeurism or a thing like that. Anyway, for me, the most important thing in naturism is to make an act of humility, I should say. To arrive there and to say to all other people around you, here I am. I'm like that. I have a lot of quality. And you start to discuss with people, and it becomes so simple, so easy. When you are completely naked, you cannot fake. And that's the most interesting thing in naturism, is to be simple and to be not fake your relation with others. And that's what I appreciate very, very much.
Gilles and his son Bastien came to visit at Bear Oaks just a few weeks ago. And we had a great, we sat down and had a nice drink and some food and enjoyed some great company. But most importantly, we talked about where naturism is going, where we want naturism to go within both of our clubs. And we agree on so many ways, and I think we're going to be working together a lot more in the future. At least I hope so, because we certainly got along really well, and we certainly have a lot of common ideas and common thoughts. So look for more cooperation between Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park and le Centre Naturiste de la Pommerie. Well, that's all for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you for listening, as always. My name is Stéphane Deschênes. I'm your host for this podcast. I'm also the owner, obviously, of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. You can find links to all of the things I mentioned in the show notes on our website, which is at naturistliving.bareoaks. That's B-A-R-E, bareoaks.ca. Please keep sending all your comments and suggestions. I do read them all, and I do try to reply to every single one of them. And I think I do, but if I miss you, I didn't mean to, send it again, and I will reply, I promise. I do appreciate getting them. It does keep me going, because I'm obviously not making any money for this. But I do it because I get great satisfaction out of knowing that people are interested in what I have to say and our vision of what naturism should be. The show's email address is naturistliving@bareoaks.ca. Again, BAREOAKS.ca, because we are in Canada. Join us again in about a month for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bareoaks.ca.